For nearly 2 years, we've done this broadcast, and many things have happened. It could be easy to judge the results that we've received. And as we search for our lessons learned, asking what went well is a great place to start. We'll discuss that question, things that went well over the last 2 years, and more on this edition of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom, good morning. Happy Tuesday.
Good morning. You had your hand like perfectly positioned to do that thing that you do. Interesting. How are you today, Bob?
It's like maracas in my mind. Aren't maracas?
Yeah, I know what they are. You should have.
I was making sure I knew what they were.
Maybe one day you will show up with them.
Castanets are the things you play. They're like little cymbals, right?
I think so. I'm not 100% positive. But maybe that'll be for year 3. You'll have some little instrument in your hand when we do our openings.
That would be fun.
Might be too loud for the bunker. Might not be.
Yes, it might be too loud for the bunker.
Save that for when you're in the car in year 3.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yes.
I do have a harmonica in my car. I could play a little.
It's not quite the same. It's not the same motion as that you use. So that would be.
Okay.
Different.
All right.
It's possible.
How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thanks. And I'm excited for our conversation today. We're going to talk about lessons learned, again, as we've been doing all week. And we're going to focus a little bit today on what went well. And so our idea is we're going to talk a little bit about the question that you ask yourself. And we're also going to share some things that have gone well in the last 2 years, 500 plus episodes of today's Antidote, as we close in on our 2-year anniversary on March 19th. Sadly, it's a Saturday, and we usually don't broadcast on Saturday. So we'll lead the week up.
You know what, though? We should talk about that, Tom.
Oh, yeah?
I think we should broadcast on Saturday.
We could do that. I think so.
8 a.m. Saturday morning. Wake up.
Big plans for Friday night that you're going to be out late.
Not really.
You're going to be exhausted.
No, there's basketball.
That is true. There is basketball.
It's a big tournament that we can't name because we'll get in trouble. So those games will go to what, 12:30, quarter one?
Likely, yeah. I haven't looked at the schedule, but typically that's what happens. The games go that late.
But I'm willing to commit to being up at 8 a.m. for a special broadcast.
So now you're putting the pressure on me. So it's all on me to decide if I'm going to show up or not.
That's it. I can do it without you.
That can probably work. I have to double check. I know I have a game that day, but I think it's later in the day. I'll have to look and see what.
It can't be that early. 8 a.m. Come on.
No, but the game could be at noon, and I know it's about 2 hours away. Okay. I might have to be in my car. We know how those episodes sometimes go. Anyhow, everyone, welcome to our show today. We will get to our topic. We do promise. We hope that if you are watching this on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, or
LinkedIn Live. Nah, that wasn't good enough. LinkedIn Live.
There we go. That was different. We hope that you will comment and share some thoughts and ideas, because we would love to hear your thoughts and ideas around this, or maybe something that you've learned in the last 2 years of watching any episode of this. And if you happen to be listening to it on the podcast, please feel free to rate the show, as well as share
5
it with
5 stars.
5 stars would be awesome. We would greatly appreciate that. So plenty of opportunities for you to be a part of this show as well. So we welcome your comments, thoughts, and ideas. So now, before we get into our lessons learned topic, let's talk about our celebrations. What are you celebrating today, Bob?
I didn't have one until I just thought of it. A great cup of coffee. So
Interesting.
one of the great things about the bunker for me is they have a Keurig machine here. And the beauty of a Keurig machine is that it makes the same kind of coffee day after day, and you can put the same things in it, and it's consistent. I've often used a French press. There are too many variables. One day it's perfect. The next day it's like, I gave it too much coffee, or I didn't give it enough water, or the water didn't get hot enough, or it's complicated. So the consistency is really what I love about my Keurig machine that I'm using.
Is there a perfect cup of coffee?
I think there is.
Really?
Yeah. I've had a perfect cup of coffee. It was actually in the Dominican Republic, of all places.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And now I seek that. So what's your celebration today?
My celebration today. What am I celebrating today?
It's the Ides of March.
It is the Ides of March. There was an interesting post I saw on Facebook about the Ides of March and what, not that I'm suggesting, recommending, or encouraging this, but the thing was kind of just saying it's a good memory for some people who might be around a certain leader in the Far East that might change a little bit of what's going on in the world today. Again, I'm not encouraging, suggesting, whatever. I'm just sharing.
Wow.
Sharing what I saw. That's
wow. That was way closer than I wanted to be to that.
Anyhow,
we've done, one of the lessons I think we've learned over the last 2 years, if I can jump in, is we've steered clear of politics in a very politically contentious environment.
I would agree.
Thankfully.
Well, I think that, politics are important, and there are also other places that you can engage in that. And I think that is not what we are trying to, unless that's something somebody wants to discuss and talk about. And I think if they want to have a discussion about it rather than an argument over it, we would welcome that. Although that's not what our show is about. It's about helping people take their next step forward. If you're a politician and you're struggling to find your next step forward, that's something we could be helpful with. And sometimes those conversations, people aren't always as open to new ideas. And I think that is one of the key tenets of our Renegades community, is that they are open to at least listen and hear. So back to my celebration. You know what? I'm going to celebrate the fact that it's going to be 70 degrees in the Baltimore area today. And I get to be on the lacrosse field from about 3 o'clock until about 6 and the sun goes down late. So it will be a gorgeous night to be out on the lacrosse field today. So that's my celebration for
You're making me want to go hit golf balls late today.
So why don't you?
I might very well.
All right. So what's our quote today?
Our quote from the great book, The Renegade Way. You can pick it up on Amazon.
You say that so sheepishly.
For
the guy who does like this big introduction and has got his LinkedIn Live thing and 5 stars, you kind of like the great book, The Renegade.
Notice how I hold it up so you can't see the author either.
Fair. But if they're listening to the podcast, then I can be able to see that anyway. So
good point. Learned. So here's our quote from today.
Awesome.
We as renegades pursue our own way with passion and zeal. Your path can focus on whatever is important to you. Passion and zeal. Boy, I must have really gone to the thesaurus for that one.
You were fired up on that day. I think that's when you went back to and said, I need a different word than whatever the 2 words were. Passion and zeal were. Zeal is a good word.
That's a big word.
Well, it's a short word, and it has a lot of meaning to it, power to it. Excellent.
I like it.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about lessons learned.
Yes.
And a little bit about, yesterday we talked about why it makes sense, why it's important to understand the lessons that you have learned. And, one of the ways that you can do that avoids judgment on the results is asking the question, what went well? So do you want to share some thoughts around that, or you want to share something that you think went well over the last 2 years, almost?
I think I can do both.
Excellent.
I think asking the question, what went well, is very valuable. And I see it when I'm coaching people a lot, that often they'll say, oh, that sales call was horrible, or that meeting went really poorly. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. There's got to be some good things that came from it. And they go, no, really, it was really horrible. I'm like, okay, one, you had an agenda. You led the meeting. No one killed each other. No one quit. No one got fired. That's progress, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess so. Or with the sales call. Hey, you made the call. You got on the phone with the person, talked to another person about what you were passionate about. That's a success. And I think finding the incremental successes helps us to add to that success. So for the sales call, if you made the sales call and it went horribly wrong, you still made the call. That's a step. The second time, you make a call, maybe you get a little better with the introduction. The third time, maybe the call, the introduction, and how you present what you do. And that's how I think we achieve results and get to a place where we want to be with whatever we're trying to do. It's not, I'm going to start my business today and be a millionaire tomorrow. It's the incremental steps. And I think that's where this what went well discussion really lands for me, is here's an opportunity to really break down. And even if it's just, hey, you know what? I got up today and came to work. Yesterday was a horrible work day. I really had a bad day. I didn't want to come back. I thought I couldn't sleep last night because I was so upset about my job, but you still showed up at 8:30 today. That's a success. Is it a huge success? Does it change the world? No, but it takes you closer to your goal. And it could, right?
Because results can change. Tom? No, I'd agree. I think one of the things I like about it, and it being the first question to ask yourself, is it's kind of like doing our celebrations first. Mm-hmm. It sort of sets you off in the right mindset, because even if you had something that didn't go the way you wanted it to go, you still, as you said, you took the effort to do it. You took the action, again, which again are the things that we can control. The results are the things we can't control. If you have a meeting and you say something and somebody stands up and quits, you can't control that they made that decision. They chose to look at something that you shared and made a decision. That was their own decision, not one that you could control. And I think the fact that the first question to ask about lessons learned is what went well, I think is a great way to get started, to focus on the action that you took, that you did take it. And then you can start to move forward after that to think about the other things that went well, rather than start judging yourself on the things that didn't go the way you thought they were going to go. And I think that's, one of the lessons learned, I think, about this show for me is starting with celebrations is a great way for us. It could be very easy to, especially given some of the things that didn't go as planned, which we'll discuss tomorrow on the show, that we always started with that, what are we celebrating? And I think that allowed the show to take on a very different tenor than it might have if that was not a part of the show. And I think that sometimes, so often, is the first part of anything, is celebrating the action that we took, so that we can then start to really move forward. And I think, that I think is one of the things that I've enjoyed about this show, even though sometimes I struggle to think about my celebrations. They are still the first thing that we do. And I think that challenge creates this different mindset about, oh yeah, it's going to be a beautiful day today. Why? Let's focus on that. And I have no idea of the results of the game that I'm going to be at, or what anything else that could happen during this day. So we're still going to celebrate the action that we took. And I think getting up every morning to do this show, I think is one of those things of what went well. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of things that could have gotten in the way. And I think we have found ways to ensure that this show went live every day but one weekday since March of 2020. And I think that is something that definitely went well for us over the last 2 years.
I think I agree with you completely. Another thing that I think has gone really well for us is that throughout this whole process, and it's shifted and changed, we've always come to common ground about everything. And there hasn't been one blowout fight. There hasn't been a I hate you. There hasn't been any of that along the way. There's been moments when it's like, well, let's think about that. Let's think about that. But I think we've always come together for the common good that we both believe in. And I think we've also honored the commitment we made before that first day to each other, now going on 2 years. And I don't think either of us thought at the time we were making a 2-year commitment, and maybe 3, 4, or 5, who knows? I certainly thought it was going to be a couple weeks, and then this whole pandemic thing would be over and we'd go back to our lives. I had no idea it would be the way it is. But I've also grown a lot. The consistency of this has really helped me in a lot of ways. It's helped me to really crystallize thoughts. I think one of the other things is you and I have both become better presenters, both on this program and out in the world, because of the requirement of this, that you can't meander forever. The more you get to your point, the better off it is. And I think, yes, we joke around. Yes, we have light moments, but I think there's some seriousness in there. And we've gotten much more focused on what we're trying to say. So that to me is another great thing that we, that it's a good thing that's happened from this process.
Yeah, it's something that went well, I think. And that again is something, as we think about those things, that's the value. I think one of the other things I think about it going well is some of the things that have spurned from the conversations that we've had today. I think that's maybe one of the fascinating things, is that this hasn't just been a conversation and it sort of ends there. Whether it's a conversation that continues in the Ring Around Renegades Facebook group, whether it's a workshop that we put together to help others try to figure out their next step, whether it's, the basis of the book or the next book or the next book, all of those things are things that we have really taken from the topics that we've talked about in this show. And I think that is something that has gone well, is that we haven't felt like we've had to write a new script every day. That we were able to take the content from what we discussed here and then share it in other avenues, so that it isn't just those people who happen to be at the start happen to be on Facebook. Well, we were able to find ways to expand it to other places so that the message got out further, and it was the same message being shared over and over and over again. And now other ways that we've continued to grow the ways that we can share the message, to an app, to LinkedIn posts, Instagram, all of those things. And, what will be the next way that we share the information that we have from the show? So I think,
who knows?
Correct. I think that's the thing. That's one of the things for me that I think went well, is that it hasn't just ended at this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
This 20 to 30 minutes that we've had, it continues in other stretches, in other ways that continues to add values to others.
I couldn't agree more. The last one I'll throw out there is, I think the fact that we found the word renegade and really gave it meaning in a way that resonates with you and me and with so many other people is really something that went well. And I still remember the day where we were looking at words like, pioneers and trailblazers and rebels and all those things. And we both settled on renegade, and yeah, that's the right word. And that's a word that over the last couple of years has had some different meanings to different people, but we've really clung to our meaning. And it's so gratifying when people say, I think I'm a renegade. Like, I have someone that we coach, and he'll say to me each time in the discussion, I'm just being a renegade. I'm like, yes, I love it. Yes. And he never had words for that prior to engaging with us. And I think that's really something. When you can put a word on an action, it normalizes it. And for so many people, it's just great to hear them, wow, I'm a renegade. And they celebrate it in a way that prior it was like, I'm not really going the way everyone else is going. I just feel like I need to do something different. Something's wrong with me. And now we've given voice to those people that it's not wrong. It's actually empowering. And I think that of all the things that have gone well for me, that's the one I cherish the most.
Yeah. I think the last one I think for me is that the use of language. And I was talking with some people about this yesterday, is that the words that we use can so much define either the way we feel or the way we act, that I think being really aware of the words that we use that usually describe something can make a significant difference if we choose to actually pay attention to the words that we use, and others pay attention to it. And I think that has really crystallized in me some things that go through my head before I use certain words, or then I catch myself and say, that's not the word I want to use. I want to use something else. And I think that the value of that has been something that I believe has gone well.
It's heightened here. I mean, you're really good about it. You never say the word but, and you really cringe at the word failure, and you're in love with the word reckless. That I've learned over the last 2 years.
Yes, indeed. There are a few of those words and I think that to me, it makes a difference. I hear now, as I hear people speak, I sometimes understand why they're feeling the way they feel, because they have in some ways talked themselves into the challenge that they have or that they're addressing. And sometimes just by reframing that thought can completely change the way you look at things. Again, why we start with the question, what went well?
Right.
Rather than another question that many people spend time focused on. So, Bob, as you think about lessons learned and what went well, what is your one thing?
I think my one thing is that there's always a couple of things that went well, no matter what we did. Even if it's just, I got up this morning and I really didn't want to get up today. I had a long day yesterday. I didn't sleep well. Just getting up, that's worthy of celebration. And I find that once I start celebrating a little thing, a step I take early in the day on the tough days, I start to move into that, what else can I accomplish? What else can I accomplish? It's just like, you're trying to write the book. The first thing you have to do is sit down in front of the computer. You're not going to write unless you sit in front of the computer. So if you came tomorrow and said, hey, Bob, you're not going to believe this. I sat in front of my computer for 45 minutes. I didn't write a word, but I thought about the book. I'd be like, Tom, bravo. That's huge progress. And the next day you might sit in front of your computer for 5 minutes and start writing. And it might be the worst sentence in the world, but you started writing. And I think we are just so attuned to the idea that you have to achieve it right away. It's either success or failure in that moment. And I think this question really gives us the opportunity to spread that out and say, you know what? It's a success in this way. It may not have achieved what we're trying to do in other ways, but this is a starting point that we can build off of.
I like it. And I also think, the other thing I like about it is it's also it's an opportunity to change the way you look at things. You talked about your day yesterday. It was a long day and it was hard and I didn't sleep well and all that. And there's the opportunity to say, okay, well, what went well? What did go well yesterday? Well, I did this, and this. And I think that was one of the interesting things that I think as we put together that the program Find Success the Renegade Way is starting with a celebration and ending every day with a celebration, or at least an understanding of those things that went well, so that maybe you can sleep a little differently and get up and look at the day yesterday as different. As it's because I think so often, again, the words we use and the way we say them, it was a long day. Well, that already seems like something that is not what you wanted to happen.
Right.
Rather than, oh my gosh, I had this amazing day. It went so, and throughout the entire day, it was long, and it was awesome that it was long because I had more time to spend doing the things that I wanted to do.
Right.
Is a very different way to look at it. And I think that perspective is something that I think is helpful as we try to figure out how to take the next step, because it can be really hard to take the next step if we are thinking about it in a way that was not as positive. And so I think that's, why I love that question coming first, and why I encourage people that as you start to review anything you've done is always consider what went well. And as like you said, it might even be the fact that you did whatever it was you were trying to do. Sometimes that is the most difficult piece. The rest of it, when you impact your knowledge, experience, and perspective, what's going to be real is going to be different in the future.
I like it.
All right, everyone. We hope that as you consider the things that happen, you start asking yourself what went well. We'll start asking ourselves that probably after the question, after the show's over.
And you can certainly put it in the comments here or in the Ring Renegades Facebook group. What went well for you yesterday? What went well today? What went well was something you did that you never thought you'd be able to do. Love to see it.
Absolutely.
And others would too.
Yes. And if you happen to be struggling with that, you're really like, you guys are crazy. There's no way that I can walk away.
I don't think anyone's struggling with the fact that we're crazy, Tom. Let's be honest.
Maybe if you don't truly believe that the value that this has, we do have a course inside of our app called Find Success the Renegade Way that is really about how do you change the way you look at your day and how do you focus on those things that are most important to getting it accomplished and celebrating the actions that you take, not always the results. So if you're interested in that, you can just download the app Renegade Success Network on Google Play. Oh, that's right. Sorry. I jumped ahead on that. You can download it on Google Play if you have an Android phone, or if you have an Apple phone, just go to the Apple Store and download the
App Store, not the Apple Store. You don't have to physically go to the Apple Store.
No, the App Store on your phone. If you happen to be a member of our Renegade Success Network, which you can find out more information about at renegadesuccessnetwork.com, all of that content is available to you as a part of your membership. And there'll be more information about the other things we're offering within the Renegade Success Network coming up soon. So great opportunity for you to figure out how to start asking yourself more often what went well as you try to develop the lessons that you learn over the actions that you take. So with that, we hope that you go out and make it a great day. We look forward to seeing you inside our Renegade Ring of Renegades Facebook group. Or maybe we'll see you in the community on the Renegade Success Network app. Either way, we will see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of Today's Antidote.
Hey, embrace the renegade in you and get out and celebrate the warm weather if you're in an area where it's warm.
And get ready for our discussion tomorrow. You won't want to miss the question, what would I do differently? Or not, sorry. What didn't go as planned? This is a great question.
What didn't go as planned is what I thought we were on to tomorrow.
Yes, what didn't go as planned. And I think that I'm looking forward to that discussion because I think this question sometimes gets confusing. So we'll add some clarity to it tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.